Everyone loves a ghost story. Hell, it was the way I got into it really. Making things up, telling stories to make people happy, to satisfy the needs of the unexplained paranormal. People love mystery. People love to feel scared. People want some kind of connection. There are so many reasons. But me, I'm just a storyteller. There aren't many male psychics, to tell you the truth. It's a small industry and I'm part of the minority. Saying that though, I do love my job, however immortal it may be. You can have your opinion on it. I don't care. I just need to be able to pay my bills and thankfully get to enjoy what I do. Every case is different in some way. Some call for the cliches, and others something new. It keeps me on my toes. But I do have one exception. I will tell you that. One story that I have experienced. I can't quite place it into the fiction genre. Things have been left unexplained. Because the truth is, the sequence of events that took place terrifies me. I got an email from a customer asking them to set up a meet to try and contact not a family member, which was the usual spiel, but a person that used to live in the flat they were living in. So I sent them my hourly charge. We set up a date, exchanged details, and I turned up at their flat one evening. When I arrived though, I realized the person lived in an old converted church. Interesting. As I waited at the gate, I watched the client run down the path and meet me. We shook hands. "Hi," he said. He was a tall guy, tan skin, brown eyes, neatly trimmed afro hair. He smelled of cigarettes and wore a pair of jeans and a hoodie. "Hi, Matt." I shook his hand. "Hi. You find the place okay?" He asked me as I walked through the gate, and we began making our way towards the building together. Yeah, it was simple enough. I wasn't expecting a church though. I gestured towards the Gothic building. It was modern in size, well kept. The spire was tall and rigged, but the cross had seemed to have been removed from the top. Yeah, it's a cool place to be honest. The renovation had been done really well. Once we arrived at the front door, he slotted in the key and pushed the heavy wooden entrance open. "After you," he muttered. "Thanks," I murmured. A hush settled on me almost immediately once I walked in. The walls were thick, solid stone, but it was warm inside. The amber lights cast a lovely glow on the whitewashed walls and wooden floor. "This is nice," I said. "Yeah, I live on the top floor." We walked up the spiral staircase together, and once we entered his flat, he offered me a cup of tea. "Yeah, please," I said, settling on the sofa and looking around. "So, do you want to give me some more background on the matter?" Yeah," he said, pulling out a couple of mugs from a cupboard. The room was open plan, so the kitchen and living room were in the same space. "So, I found some letters in a box from the previous owner of this place. It basically said to contact them once they died as an experiment, to see if it would work. They gave me code words and everything." "So we're doing an experiment today?" I asked him. "Sorta. I thought, why not? Dying woman's last wish, why not?" He shrugged. I chuckled slightly. "May I see the letters?" "Sure." He walked over to a cupboard and pulled out a box. "Here they are. Her name was Lucy Millhouse." I pulled my glasses out of my pocket and opened the cardboard box. They were sad letters. Apparently the woman had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She only had a few months to live. Most of the letters were sad, honest confrontations about life. Like she was rambling to herself, expressing her thoughts in a way she thought helped her. They were all dated. It hadn't been that long ago, maybe about a year. The last letter was the most interesting. "This is for the next owner of this church flat. If you find this letter, I will tell my family to leave this box here. Please try and contact my soul. To know that it is me, contact me with these words, and I will answer you back with the corresponding word." apple, tree, beauty, queen, Yorkshire, tea, lonely, heart. I frowned. Well, this was new. How would I go about doing this? So, Matt, I said as he walked over to the table with the teas. Tell me, do you believe in all of this? You mean like spiritual and stuff? Yeah. He shrugged. I don't know. I'm pretty open-minded. I found the letters and thought, why not? I chuckled once more. Well, let's get started then. I took another sip of my tea and pulled out a few essentials of the trade from my duffel bag. I pushed the table further out so that both of us could sit at it on the floor. Matt watched me in fascination. I pulled out the standard candles, lighter, Ouija board, and a few books, Bible included. I asked Matt to draw the curtains closed and sit opposite of me. I took one more sip of the tea and began creating the ambience needed. Matt was wide-eyed in interest as I lit every candle and opened a few books on the table. So, are you ready? I asked him once I was done setting the scene. He nodded. I cleared my throat and began my usual spiel of Latin. If anyone was able to listen and translate it, it all made relevant sense. I wasn't stupid that one day I might be caught out by that, but it was good stuff. Once I was done, I called out her name, clearly and loudly. Lucy Millhouse. Nothing happened. Matt stared around, a little anxious. I let the silence play out for a while. We may have been in a flat where there were other people in the building, but in all honesty, it felt like we were the only ones, because it was so quiet. Lucy Millhouse, I said once more. Are you here with us today? Still nothing. I lit more incense. Lucy Millhouse, the previous tenant of this flat, are you here? The fridge groaned, but that was it. We have words for you. Please respond with the corresponding words. I looked around the dark room. Apple, I began. Nothing. Beauty. Nothing. Yorkshire. Nothing. Lonely. Nothing. I continued like this for the next 5 minutes. I stood up and wafted the incense around the room. We held a planchette to see if it would move. After half an hour, I decided I had enough humor in the guy, so I decided the ending of this story would be nothing. You win some, you lose some. I was about to utter those words when a blinding flash, followed by a great big crack, reverberated throughout the whole room. Crash. We jumped. Matt knocked over his tea, and the both of us sat frozen on the floor, staring at each other. What the? We stood up, rushed towards the window, realizing the sound had not come from the inside, rather out. Once Matt wrenched open the curtains, we realized that the weather had gone from mild and still to a sudden angry storm. It was absolutely dark outside, and it was pouring. The walls of the church were so thick we had not heard a thing. We stared at the weather. The lightning flashed every now and again, and the thunder rumbled in response. What was that sound? I asked out loud. I don't know, Matt replied, staring at the rain. Shit me up though. Sounded like something massive broke. Yeah, I nodded. Well, I'm gonna call him, Matt. I don't think any contact was made today. He turned to me and smiled. Oh, yeah, thanks for trying though. It was my pleasure. I'll just pack up. We turned back to the table and realized we had knocked over a few candles in the process. A few of them had landed on the Ouija board, and some on the floor, so we hurried over and picked them up, not wanting to set anything on fire. It took me a couple of minutes to pack everything away, and we said our goodbyes. As I walked down the stairs, I hummed to myself. All in all, it was a successful day. It had been easy too. Once I was at the front door, I braced myself for the storm. Wrenching the door open, I ran out and sprinted towards the car, I stopped in my tracks, however, just before I was about to rush through the gate, because there was a massive tree that had been broken in half and uprooted, blocking the way. I stood in the rain, staring at the calamity. What the fuck? I said to myself. I was soaked through by then, trying to figure out how to get around the force of uprooted nature. But instead I ran back into the church and told Matt about the tree. We both ran out then and stared at it in awe. It looks like lightning struck it, Matt yells over the rain. We were both drenched. I stared at the scorch mark and a massive hole where it had struck. Yeah, I yelled back. I have to tell the landlord, Matt shouted. You can get out to your car or I'm back. We turned away from the tree then. It wasn't my problem to solve, and that night, I ended up getting home later than anticipated. I jumped into the shower, grateful to be out of the cold, waterlogged clothes, and ready for bed. It hit me then, the first word we had been waiting for, the one Lucy was supposed to have responded with. Should have been tree. It doesn't stop there though, my friends. The next day, as I drove around doing my errands, the radio seemed to be playing Queen songs, and that was all, which I thought was odd. Every station that I changed onto, there was a Queen song. Switched it off, waited a while, turned it back on. Nope, still Queen. I found out that it was Freddie Mercury's birthday that day, but it was still an odd coincidence. However, I had another client in the evening that day, so I did not think much of it. I had all but forgotten about the weirdness of the events once I came home that night. But my girlfriend had come to visit me for the evening, and we had been playing video games together, when she randomly asked me a question when I asked her for the remote. Only if you get the answer to this right, she teased. What answer? I tried to wrestle her for it. We playfully wrestled each other for a few minutes, but she would not hand it over, so I huffed. Fine, what's the question? She cleared her throat and straightened herself up. What do you call a bear without an ear? Earless? No, try again. I sighed. A deaf bear. She laughed. No, the answer is B. A bear without an ear. Ear are the last 3 letters of bear. Oh, I laughed. That was a good one. Now can I have the remote? I made a grab for it. She held her hand. One more. You have to get this one right. Then you can have it. Oh, come on, I whined. This one is easy, promise. What letter is a drink? I scratched my head. Come on, it's easy. What letter is a drink? She repeated. It rolled off my tongue easily then. T. It almost echoed in my ears when she threw the remote at me, before I could think any further about it. You got it, babe. You're so smart. We laughed. I tried not to dwell on it for the next few hours. The next few days, however, nothing in relation to any of the words happened again. I decided, though, that because I knew what the words were, normal occurrences in life just so happened to coincide and relate to them. I mean, they were pretty normal words. They could pop up anywhere in the day. Besides, I had thought to myself, days had gone by, and anything in relation to the last word had not happened. Nonetheless, as I ready for a client, I was packing away my equipment when I realized the candles we had dropped back in Matt's house, the ones had poured onto the wood, had made a mark on the back of the board. In fact, when I looked at it properly, I realized it was a shape, and it was clearly the outline of an almost perfect heart. I dropped the board and my phone suddenly vibrated. Hey, this is Matt. You came to my house a few days ago. I was wondering if you could come back sometime when you're free. I don't know how to say this, but since you left, some weird stuff has been happening around here. Shit,